Hey everybody, what's happening? This is Brian Prey, and welcome to All You Want in Life podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about something called perspective. And I'm talking about the perspective that you have on the outcome of your life. Because sometimes what we've been taught, what's been ingrained in us, what's been kind of instilled in our minds since we were little kids, well, it might not lead us to the best course of actions and the best course to take heading towards what our goals are, what we value as success. In fact, a lot of times the information that we've been given leads us towards somebody else's dream, or even no dream at all. You know, sometimes life, it's a little bit like being in a maze, right? We come up to certain things, certain decisions that we have to make, and to us it looks like there's a left or a right. There's a fork in the road. And all we can see is that decision. But what if you had a 30,000 foot view? Do you remember going to a restaurant as a kid or maybe with your kids now and they give you that little placemat that's got the maze on it? You know, you start at one point and you've got to take the pencil or crayon and you draw through. It's kind of a circle or a box and you draw through and you can go this way or that way. And when you're a kid, it's a little tough, right? Because you come up to each decision that you have to make and you go one way or the other. But as you grow up, you realize that you need to kind of look at the bigger picture. Well, if I go left here, what's going to happen as I go farther? But life doesn't work out like that, right? We don't necessarily know what's going to unfold in front of us. And sometimes the information that we get and the people that we get the information from aren't always the best people to listen to. And it's not because they're doing anything that is malicious. They're not trying to harm you. They're not trying to hurt you. And in a future podcast, we'll go over something that we call the law of association, or in now a popular term that you're hearing from time to time is friendfluence, a word that I hate. I do prefer the law of association, and we will get into that as to who you are spending your time with. But one thing that I've found is that some of the best information that you can get is from people that are where you want to go. Right? We live in a society that inherently has a herd mentality. There are very few rhinos. If we classify people into two classes, rhinos and cows. Rhinos are those that see something, know what they want, and go after it. They charge forward. And cows, well, they're everybody else. They're happy with being in the pack. And there are a lot of cows. And the dangerous thing with cows is that they're in a herd. And the responsibility of the herd is to keep you in the herd. So if you want to charge forward, sometimes you need to align yourself with other rhinos and not listen so much to the cows. But again, as I digress, and you will learn that I do have a tendency of getting off topic, on tangent. My goal with these podcasts is not to have them be too long. I don't plan on having, hour-long dissertations. So I'll highlight some points that I will get to in future podcasts, not necessarily as a tease, but just because that's how my brain works. I lose track sometimes, and I apologize for that. So today we are talking about perspective. And I wanted to share with you a story that I read. I like putting words and pictures together. And this is a story that was written in the front of a book. It's what I would classify a foreword to the book called U Squared, written by Price Pritchett. It's a very good read, very powerful read. It's very short. You can do it in one sitting. I think it's 35 pages long. And again, the book is U Squared. But the story that I want to share is called A True Story, written as the foreword to this book. I'm sitting in a quiet room at the Millcroft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden back among the pine trees about an hour out of Toronto. It's just past noon, late July, and I'm listening to the desperate sounds of a life-or-death struggle going on a few feet away. There's a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of the window pane. The whining wings tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder. But it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. This fly is doomed. It will die there on the windowsill. Across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time, and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it could be free of this self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there. It would be so easy. Why doesn't the fly try another approach? Something dramatically different? How did it get so locked in on the idea that this particular route and determined effort offer the most promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? No doubt, this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an idea that will kill. Trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieving more. It may not offer any real promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. Again, this story was written by Bryce Pritchett, called A True Story, as the foreword to his book U Squared. I highly recommend buying it. Check out Amazon, go to your local bookstore. Short read, very powerful read. The Fly. You've seen it probably 100 times, banging its head into that window pane, knowing that the fly doesn't know, but you know, that the fly will never, ever be able to break through. And like this story says, a mere 10 steps away in the other direction, an easy flight, probably lasting no more than a few seconds, would give the fly the outcome that it desired. But all it can see is its goal through that window pane, and thinking that trying harder is going to get him there. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? I mean, we see it in corporate America all the time, right? Back when I worked a corporate job, I thought that working harder was going to land me promotions, that my career was going to advance. And I'll tell you what, I mean, it did, but there was only so far that I could go. There was only so much that I could do. And the downside to it was there were very few positions at the upper levels. So if I was going to get it, that meant that somebody else couldn't. What you've been taught throughout your life, throughout your education, may not make the most sense for the goals that you set for yourself. Sometimes you need to turn around and take a course of less resistance. The problem is that most people don't know, and they do what they've been accustomed to do. They do what they've been taught to do. They do it because it's always been done that way. Sometimes you need to open your mind. You need to listen to people who have done things differently. Sometimes maybe you need to step out and have a little faith that something will work. Maybe you need to act with certainty, which we talked about last time, having that belief, but working to get a result. Now, there's nothing wrong with hard work. I don't want to give you that impression. But sometimes banging your head against a window is only going to leave you dead on the windowsill. You will never accomplish your goal. Insanity, right? Einstein? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The fly was insane. Now, granted, a fly has very little intelligence. I give us a little bit more credit than that. But sometimes we need to be open to do things differently. And just because they're different doesn't mean they're bad, even though the cows will want you to think that it is. If you're a rhino, be a rhino. Figure out what it is that you want. And again, we will get into goal setting. But figure out what it is that you want. And by God, go after it. And go after it with certainty. And seek the advice of people that have done it before you. Don't listen to the have-nots. If you want to have, don't take advice from the have-nots. Don't take advice from people who are stuck in their routine, who wake up every day hating life, struggling to get by. I did it for years. Every morning was a struggle. The alarm would go off and I would hate it. I wished my life away. Every single day, Friday afternoon couldn't come fast enough, and then I was sad on the weekends because they went so quickly. The time is now. Maybe you need a little change of perspective. Maybe instead of banging your head on that window pane, maybe all you need to do is turn around and fly the other direction. You can do it. I know you can. I believe in you. Make it a great day. It's Brian Prey. You absolutely deserve it.
What you want?